All right, Vinny, it's the day you've been waiting for.
That's right.
It's ModNation Racers.
I brought my passport. I'm ready to enter the ModNation.
Let's hit the road with Mr. Dan Sochin. Sir, you are the producer of this game.
One of the producers on the project, yes.
Cool. Thanks for stopping by and showing it to us. So, title screen. Let's go.
All right. Let's dive right in.
All right.
So we've got sort of a video of the MRC Modern Racing Championship that sets up sort of what the world is all about. And effectively, it's a sports program, and it's all about racing. And, you know, you're a newbie coming in, and you're going to obviously go for sort of that ¡1 spot. But I'm going to jump through a lot of this for now, just so we can get right into gameplay. You guys can check out this on your own time.
Cool.
I'm going to waste your time.
So what
I don't need to explain the video for you.
So what are you guys focusing on this press tour? You're taking the game around, showing it to press outlets like us.
Yeah.
So what's the focus of this trip?
To kind of show you all the good stuff that we've been doing since the public betas. So, you know, public beta North America happened December 12th. We were basically kind of locked out of it by mid-November. So, you know, the code's now sort of 3 months old. I want to show you all the cool progress that's gone in. The optimizations to, you know, the loading and the frame rate, which we're still working and tweaking and getting even a little bit better. Making some cool new announcements about like the fourth theme, which is Seaside. We'll show you a bit of that today.
Cool.
Showing you some racing on those tracks in the jungle and Seaside, and announcing as well 4-player split screen. So we heard a lot of people crying out for that and making sure that we got it in the game, and we have, as well as 2-player online split screen, which is kind of cool.
Very cool.
So you and a friend sit on the sofa and take on everyone else.
Maybe we should grab 3 more controllers before doing this.
Yeah.
So what kind of data did you guys pull out of the beta so far that you've kind of gone back and applied to the design process?
It was a lot of, you know, it was kind of a varied spectrum. We got the load times were long, frame rate wasn't where it needed to be, and those were things we're aware of, and that's pretty common in a dev cycle, is that comes at the very end of the project. You jam as much game in as you can, as many features, and then after that you spend the last few months sort of tweaking that. We got, I think, a few thousand bugs entered, of which about 5 or 6 were great bugs, so we got those fixed. You know, and then there's other feedback as well on the cameras. So we put in camera control now, adjustments, so you can zoom out a little bit further. And then a bunch of sort of tweaks and minor things as well. So, yeah, for the most part, from public betas, we were blown away by what people were able to create. And, you know, in several cases, it was things that we didn't think would be possible to actually build, and people did. So that was a really pleasant surprise. There's no way to really avoid it. When you first get dropped into the game, you're immediately dropped into this tutorial race.
Okay.
And you can't actually skip through it. So I'll just kind of blow through it real quick.
Your chance to show off
That's
your skill,
right. You better get first place.
Yeah.
You can do it here.
When the pressure's on, I'll never hear it from the guys at the office. So we've got, you know, a great tutorial that explains sort of the basics of the driving and the controls and how the weapons work. So we've implemented sort of a unique weapon system where there's 4 different sort of main categories of weapons, and you can choose to use them right away, or you can choose to save them up. And every time you save them up, you kind of level up to the next power level of that weapon. So now I'm on level 2 of the supercharge. Level 1 would have given me sort of like a 10-second boost. Level 2 will give me sort of a 15-second boost. And if I get to level 3, then it ends up actually creating a portal. It basically sort of launches me ahead a section of the track.
That doesn't sound fair at all somehow.
So, but it's good. We spent a lot of time balancing. You know, we started out with 30, 40 different weapon types, and we've sort of slowly scaled it back to make sure we got in ones that work really well and are fair, but also, there's the portal.
Okay.
Nice.
But also that are well balanced. So you can see that I was in 3rd place, and so it kind of bumped me up to 2nd. Now with a nice drift, I'm in 1st. It wasn't a huge sort of catch up. If I'd been in 12th place, it would have actually put me, again, not into 1st or 2nd, but it would have moved me further along the track. So again, that's how we sort of work on that balancing.
Is it always a distance thing, or is it kind of like a ratio to where you are?
Exactly. It's a ratio between where the next cart is in front of you to where you are on the track. So if you're in second, it really won't put you very far in first.
Okay.
But if you're in 12th, it will help get you a lot closer into the rest of the pack.
So it's just kind of this risk-reward thing for saving it up.
Yeah,
being able
exactly.
to guarantee you a move ahead.
So.
Now what's going on with you getting hit by lightning and stuff here? Is that other players?
Yeah, that's the other players
taking out their
attacking me.
frustrations on
and
you?
so one of the things I could have done is bring up a shield.
Okay.
So-
So there are counters to what they can,
Yeah.
what they can kind of the havoc they can wreak on you.
Yeah, exactly. And that was, when we came up with the idea of ModNation Racers, what we love about kart racing games in general is the fact that they have that pick up and play element, that accessibility, that feeling of if I took a bad corner or turn somewhere early in the race that I'll never be able to get back into it. In kart racing games, you can. There's always that element of I can still get into it. But we wanted to reduce rubber banding so it wasn't just cheating of speeds and making the AI all of a sudden slow down for you. So we did a little bit with that sort of with the weapons, but we also didn't want that scenario of, hey, I'm in first place and
10 seconds to go, and all of a sudden you're...
exactly, now I'm in 12th
Right.
because every single weapon actually targets me.
Yeah, because the stupid blue shell comes out of nowhere and takes you. Yeah.
And so one of the cool things that we wanted to do is put in the idea of a shield. And so that I now have a defense against any weapon that comes at me. And there's a cool sort of mechanic behind that in the boost system, which is when I do, as your crew chief calls it, hot dog driving, but basically good driving, drifting, drafting, stunts, and knocking the other opponents out of the track, then I gain boost. And I can choose to use that boost in a few different ways. I can use it to literally go faster down the track and get kind of a speed burst, or I can use it as defensive, as a shield. So I can see there's an incoming weapon, a missile coming at me, or lightning. I can hold the shield button down, it drains through my boost, and now I've got some defense against those weapons. So, the good driver will always have a bit of an advantage because they'll have more boost to use, but at the same time, they can't just hold shield the whole time. They'll run out. It drains fairly quickly. So we spend a lot of time sort of balancing out that. All right, and I can't skip this intro either.
You won yourself a boombox. So what? Ain't like fans are running up.
So who are these guys? Is there like kind of a backstory or a fiction to this game?
Yeah, so we touched a little bit on the story very lightly at public beta. So this is, you guys will get the opportunity to really get a full view of the story in ModNation Racers. And what we wanted to do is create a story that was pretty light, but help sort of progress the gameplay along, created sort of a mentor figure for you. So that was the crew chief. And that initial character is Tag, who represents you as the player. Here we're giving a bit of an overview of the ModSpot. And the ModSpot is a 3D hub for the game. So once you basically go past the title screen, you get dropped into here. And when you're online, you're surrounded by over 20 other racers driving around you can interact with, become friends, chat, share creations with. Offline, we've got some AI racers sort of driving around. We've got these trophies, or the statues, and those statues signify the best of the best in the ModNation community. So the top racers for that day, the top racer overall, the top character, kart creators. So we really want to celebrate all different facets of the game, not just the top racers, but also the top creators. And what we saw from public beta was that, some people logged, literally one guy logged, I think, 750 races in 2 weeks, while other people made over 30 or 40 tracks. And then a lot of people did a bit of both. And so we want to celebrate all different sort of aspects of play. So ModSpot's also a great area to practice sort of your drift mechanic and just be drifting around.
Okay, so you can actually manually drive around.
Oh yeah, you're manually driving
This
around.
isn't just a glorified menu. Then.
Oh no.
Okay.
Yeah, there's, it's not just you kind of moving around the camera. Same race controls, same camera that you would have in the race. So it's a great place to just continue driving, and you can kind of just drive around and practice drifting, jumping over that centerpiece. The only difference is there's no weapons in this area.
So you're jumping into the track creator?
Yeah, what our goal with the Track Creator was to kind of relive that joy that we had as kids playing with train sets or miniature cars, and but do it and kind of bring it to the 21st century, and really utilize the power of the PlayStation 3. And so we talked about a lot of different approaches, and instead of doing sort of the set pieces or track pieces where there's a straight piece, then you've got to combine that to a curved piece, and then have another straight piece coming off of it. We want to do something that was a lot more sort of fluid or organic, and what we came up with was Drive to Create. So using the exact same controls as you do in racing, you literally just start driving out the track, and you've got this big steamroller, and it's laying out the track behind you. And as you turn left, the track turns left and right, and you can also change elevation, and you can even blow through mountains to create sort of these mountain passes and
Canyons and stuff like that.
and canyons.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So I've got to say, probably my favorite part of it is just playing with the terrain. It just feels really cool. I mean, all I'm doing is just holding the X button down, and it just pulls up the terrain. I can make it sort of more small, fine detail, or I can do something bigger. And there's a variety of different sort of shapes and brushes, we call them, basically. So I can do something a little bit more, funny, like throwing in the skull face. Rotate that around. And put a skull head in there, and you can actually be driving through the eyes and all sorts of cool stuff. And then just as easily as I was building up terrain, I can just start cutting away and making water. And it really has that sort of like sandbox tactile feel of I'm just pulling land up or pushing it down to make water, which is pretty cool.
Now these bars at the top, are those like your budgets for how much you can
Yeah.
kind of cram into one track?
Yeah, exactly. So it's pretty hard to kind of max out the budget, really.
You gotta work really hard to.
Yeah, generally, I mean, especially with like dropping down props, you can put a lot of props in the world. So I'm just driving around my cart, and I'm choosing where I'm going to put down my start line. So I'll place maybe some over here. And now I'm in the steamroller. So I can be driving along, and I can switch into, so I can change the elevation myself. Kind of manually go around, go right through this mountain, so just kind of blast away.
Wow. Now, as you cram stuff into these tracks, what does that do to just the kind of track file size? I mean, when people go to download their friends' tracks, is it going to be like a lengthy download, or is it a pretty quick thing?
It's seconds, literally.
Really? Okay.
The guys who came up with the idea and the tech, our tech guys, just did an unbelievable job and came up with a file system where it keeps it, a few hundred K for each file, so
Okay.
they're just tiny, which was important because we didn't want to ever have it that, there's 12 people, they're all in an online race, and you want to jump in and start racing. Now every time you want to do a new track,
Right,
it's going to be a minute or two download. It's just not really fun. So I can hold X at any point, basically bring me around back to the starting point on the track.
Oh wow! So if you're like, I just want to finish this.
Yeah.
Just make the ends meet and
Yeah,
go.
exactly. You're like, I did all the key points. I don't need to do
wrap
that
this
final
up,
little
right?
loop. This is a cool feature that we put in recently, which is the auto-populate. So let's do the auto-populate. Show you guys. I can go in and I can blow away anything that it auto-populated, or I can adjust and fine-tune any of those elements. But it's a great way to really quickly, it populates the track with scene props, which are all the trees and houses and buildings on the outside of the track, as well as it puts down elements on the track as well. And uses some smart logic to figure out on the incline of a big hill, you want to put down some boost pads so that people can keep up their speed. It'll put down pickup items, put down some ramps as well. And ta-da, we've got a complete track with
Very cool.
AI already driving around on it. And it really is just sort of that easy.
That's right. We did not speed up the footage.
Yeah, no.
This is all
no,
real time.
That is in all real time. So I'll go in and just make some kind of fun adjustments as well. So you can go in and you can adjust all elements of the track. I can adjust the width at any point, and actually I'll make this whole section a little bit wider. And so I just drive along, and as I drive along, it just automatically widens it for
Okay,
me.
cool.
Or I can just, adjust individual elements of it. I can do the same with lift, with banks. Maybe I'll bank this corner a little bit more. a little bit. Same thing, whoops. And so we're zipped with this level. And then now just as I go along this whole edge, it'll automatically bank it for me.
So is it possible to make just impossible tracks that you actually could, like if you bank it enough where you just literally, guys are just falling off? Or is there...
It's really hard.
Okay.
Yeah, we tried to do our best to make sure that we kind of fixed any of those instances. And so that, yeah, you couldn't easily do that.
All right.
So...
Are these similar to the tools that were used to make the actual like single-player tracks in the game?
So the 28 tracks that we'll be shipping with the game, every one of them were done using this exact same editor.
Okay.
So you know that definitely put some challenges on our guys on the track or on the technical side and on the track design side. It's a little bit of the chicken and the egg. We got to get some tracks done, but we're still working on the tool.
Right.
And we can't finish the tool till the tracks are done, but. We're really glad we did that. So I would actually explain what I just did. So I just blew away this little section of track here, putting in the reset zone, and what I'll do is I'll put a jump in this area. Oh, sorry. So I'll just put a jump right along the track. And so within each of the props, there's scene props. Yeah, you have to jump right through the house. And there's the on-track props. And then there's the dynamic props, a lot of cool things there. Flame vents, devastators, we call them, which are big stompers that come down. And each of those are can be triggered. You can go in and choose each of their settings so that they're controlled by how quickly they move, what the pause delay is in between them as well. So I try to do like two things at once, or as well, like you can actually have them what makes them trigger. So it can be a shootable trigger, something on the track that I see, and I shoot this little target, and at that point, now it starts happening, which is great for someone's ahead of me, and I can target that and immediately make that happen and actually attack them with it.
So I see it's got the trajectory. Is that something that would change if you had like a boost pad or something in front of it, or is it?
I can go in and adjust it myself.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So that's like the strength of the boost right there. Okay. That's cool.
So I can go in and now just select it and press the properties button, and I can choose the landing distance. So I can make it a little bit shorter. I could, and so I can. You can see there.
Jerk, you could do that.
I can see, everyone's going to just drop to the ground. So that wouldn't be very nice of me. So I'll bump this up. But what it would do is it would automatically. Everyone would have to. They'd drop and then reset.
Oh, okay.
So again, that's how we kind of make sure that it's still doable. But
so they would reset on the other side.
On the other side, yeah. So give that a go, and I'll just really quickly give it a test drive and see, make sure everything works fine. So when you go into test drive mode, what it does is it puts just you and your cart sort of 50 or 100 meters back from that point, jump, and just make the landing.
Nicely done. Is there any way to split the track as you're going? Can you put so there are two different paths to take, or is it okay?
Yep, definitely. So I'll go in and mod the track.
So definitely room for people to design shortcuts and.
Oh yeah, and that's what we want. Like what we've shown for the most part in a lot of previous sort of demos is just the more simple sort of basic things. But we want people to go in and be adding shortcuts, and you can add multiple shortcuts with huge jumps, however you want. So I'm just trying to find a good section. So we can actually do it right here. I'll switch sides. So you can create a little shortcut right. So you can say here. And so that creates sort of the entrance point, and now as soon as it goes green again, here's the exit. So I would go here.
Oh, nice.
And you can see it automatically creates that shortcut.
And this is where you could add the triggers or whatnot.
Exactly, to have a wall there that you have to shoot it, and then the trigger,
Very cool.
the walls would drop down once you hit the trigger. So I'm going to go in, and it left some props in there. So I'll just go in really quickly. And we call it sort of the velocity or the marquee select. So I just drive around. Oops, missed that one. Don't have to do a nice circle either, and go around it and delete it. Maybe I'll delete that one too.
So I see this is all obviously optimized for the controller. No way I can plug a mouse in here and just start selecting stuff, huh?
No, it's all on the controller. But we spent a lot of time working with the UI to make sure this feels pretty good.
Right. It seems to move really quickly.
So
you guys had the beta running for a number of weeks. What is the most creative thing you saw anybody do with this thing?
We saw one track that was, pretty much all water, and it was basically like kind of floating boxes. So it was almost like lily pads you had to be sort of jumping between. We had some really cool character creations where people would, they basically used the helmet as the face, and then the hole for the helmet was the mouth, and they put big googly eyes on top. So, pretty clever stuff. So I'm just going to actually take this section, and I'll paint it as a dirt path so it's not quite nearly as obvious. It's a shortcut. And then I could go and, put some barrier elements in there. One thing I can do is maybe I'll open up, put in this area a tunnel. Choose tunnel. And again, we wanted to really make everything in the editor feel like play versus work. And so, there's a lot of like molding and sculpting and brushing and painting over, and that sort of analogy, because we think that's a lot more fun. Let's quickly jump in and test drive the...
And is this saving as you're going, like every time you're editing, or is it, if we were to turn this console off?
Yeah, there's a save function you have to go into and choose.
Okay.
But with everything you do, there's undo, and we have like multiple levels of undo. Oh, little mistake there.
I want to undo that jump.
Yeah, exactly. So I think I ended up just blowing away the jump before it, which was all good. Really easy for me to go in and just change that element.
And so you guys have different motifs, or kind of, this is sort of city and desert,
Yep.
or seaside. You have different sort of tile sets and that kind of thing.
Yeah, there's 4 different themes. So this is the first time we've shown seaside. There's also jungle, alpine, and desert are the main ones. So I'll jump in and show you guys some racing on some of the other tracks.
All right, so we're back. We all grabbed controllers because we
Heck
want
yeah.
to play.
All right, let's do it.
So I'm in the upper right. Brad, where are you?
I don't want to say, unless I win. Maybe when I win, I'll tell you.
All right.
So are there a lot of differences between the carts in terms of like the handling, the speed, the weapon abilities?
Nope, they're the exact same.
I could just pick one then?
Yeah, and that's what exactly we wanted that. We wanted to make sure that you get to represent yourself in the most creative, unique way you can. And if that means you're driving a dump truck or a school bus or a soapbox racer, we didn't want you to immediately start the race and be on the start line against me in my sports car, and you'll never stand a chance.
Okay.
So you can go in and you can tweak the driver styles. You can see here, so you can up the drift versus the steering, and the acceleration versus the top speed.
Okay.
And so that's more on an individual driver level than your actual car itself.
And that's all a trade-off, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Increase one, you're going to take
Exactly. As
somewhere else,
you increase your top speed, then your acceleration is going to be slower.
Okay.
So.
All right. I'm going to pick my crazy one.
So, show you guys a new track
Okay.
I've worked on. Do Marina. Currently lost Temple. Locked in. That's cool. We'll do Marina.
Now, is this one of the tracks that'll ship in the final game, or is this
Yep.
one that you guys have? Okay.
Nope, this is one of the 28 that'll ship in the final game.
Gotcha.
And so, yeah, I mean, every one of the tracks that are in the game were built with by our track designers using the same Track Studio tool. So any of our tracks can be remixed, and we can go in and look and see exactly how our guys built them.
Interesting. So you can edit that specific track.
You can edit that specific
and then
track.
you kind of have to save it out as a copy, or
Yep, yeah, you can save it out as a copy, and
Okay.
you can't save it as the same name as our tracks. That way, there's no phonies out there.
Right.
But beyond that, yeah, you can make just a couple of small changes. What I love doing is just going in and editing to see how the guys actually built the track the way they did, which is pretty slick.
The average cart gets about 1.3 yards to the gallon. Take that, environment.
All right.
3, 2, 1.
So there's a start line mini game which I didn't tell you about because I wanted to win.
Thanks.
But basically, you as there's a 3, 2, 1, you're holding the acceleration, and the timing changes each time. So you don't want to. As soon as he says 1, go, then you hit the L1 for boost, and you'll get a big head start. If you do the timing wrong, your car actually stalls, and so you've got a bit of a penalty. It's a bit of a risk versus reward. And because it's random, the timing, it actually changes every single time.
So you got to be paying attention.
You got to be paying attention.
Whoa.
Oh gosh.
Now, was that somebody else's portal I just drove through?
Yep, you can follow it on someone's portal.
So
which
can
is
you
kinda
actually
slick.
you can actually go through it too?
Yep.
And get the benefit and everything? Dude, that's pretty devious.
So. Whoa, oh, hanging on. Almost went off the cliff.
Oh, I totally know.
Yeah.
Whoa.
You can use the right analog stick when you're on a big jump to spin, and you get bonus points for that. So you'll fill up your boost meter.
So is there any like decoy portal you can deploy that puts somebody off a cliff?
No, what
They
you
wanna-
can do though is you can, if you hold the square button shoots weapons, and if you hold the square button down a couple seconds, then it switches from like a forward shooting weapon to a mine you can drop behind you. And a pretty devious thing to do is to drop a mine. Oh, someone just at me. To drop a mine right by where there's a bunch of pickup items, so someone may not necessarily see it, and they'll drive right into the mine. That's my sneaky tip today.
I'm not going to drive behind you.
Yeah.
I drive in front of you.
So there, someone tried to shoot me with a weapon. Oh, and I shielded, but then I drove off the cliff.
So when you do spin, you have to land it to keep your momentum.
Yeah, you got to land it and spin around. So you don't want to try and do
Right,
a
something
1080 when
right.
really you don't have that much time to land it.
Holy crap. That's not the right way to go.
I just reset off the track. Too.
Oh, I should look at those poles as places to turn.
Yeah.
They're trying to tell me something.
Final lap. Whoa.
So I just shot a level 3 sonic blast.
It's a level 3 blue thing.
Yeah, and basically it goes down the track and does shockwaves and hits everyone along it. But again, that's where that level of strategy comes in. If you'd been saving your shield or your boost, you could have used it as a shield. Oh, and I should have probably used my shield there. Someone just nailed me.
That was
Oh, nice shot.
whoa.
Oh,
Man, it's
That's
dead
awesome.
heat. Whoa. Oh, not anymore.
I'm just enjoying the lovely track design.
Uh-huh.
Andrew's being awfully quiet over there. Oh,
Oh man,
I followed you off that cliff.
I'll tell you what, I just did something real good.
Oh, man.
Somehow wound up in first place. What happens when you use a portal? Let me tell you a little something about portals, guys.
I'm just going to say that my strategy of not identifying myself has paid off.
Oh man.
All right. Well,
Wonderfully satisfying
Dan, thank you.
Oh,
very
no,
much
my,
for
my,
stopping by.
my pleasure.
So what's the release window looking like for this one? Do you guys have a firm date in mind yet?
Spring 2010.
Okay, so you're coming up on the end.
We're getting close. We're into the sort of final optimizations and getting it all tweaked up and ready to go.
Cool, very cool. Any more open beta stuff going on before then, or are people going to have to just kind of wait till it's out? So?
Yeah, we've got
Get their
the
hands on it.
preview code going out right now to media, and then people have to wait till the game's out.
They could always just rewatch this video and watch me win again.
That's true.
It's, you know,
They can
I
relive the
encourage
glory.
that. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thanks again.
My
Thank you
pleasure.
very much.